Call to order the Liberal City Commission for this Tuesday, September 22nd. May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Denoyer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Aragon.
Here.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here.
Commissioner Carlisle.
Here.
Commissioner Martinez.
Here.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Will you please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation as given by Dr. Jack Jacob of First Southern Baptist Church. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord God, we thank you for this day you've given us. We thank you for the little bit of rain that we got. We would like to have had more, and that is such a description of the way we look at so much of life. Father, we thank you for the jobs that these public servants do. Many of us want them to do more because we want them to do the things that we focus on. And we don't often give thought to all of the details and all of the departments and all of the areas that they have to help to oversee. And so, Father, we pray that you would give them eyes to see what they cannot see. Give them ears to hear what they cannot hear. Give them a heart to know what they cannot know on their own, so that they can make decisions that ensure that we have a better tomorrow than we had for a yesterday. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. All right, first item on the agenda tonight is awards, proclamations, and presentations. And we do have one. This is for Fire Prevention Week. I'll read the proclamation if fire department would like to stand or come forward as I read. The proclamation reads, whereas the City of Liberal is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Liberal. Whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at the greatest risk from fire. And whereas home fires killed 2,755 people in the United States in 2013, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments in the United States responded to 369,500 home fires, and whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, and whereas 3 out of 5 home fire deaths result from fires in properties without working smoke alarms, and whereas in 1/5 of all homes with smoke alarms, none were working, and when smoke alarms should have operated but did not do so, it was usually because batteries were missing, disconnected, or dead, and whereas half of home fire deaths result from fires reported at night between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. when most people are asleep, and whereas Liberal residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home. And whereas Liberal residents should install smoke alarms and alert devices that meet the needs of the people who are deaf or hard of hearing. And whereas Liberal residents who have planned and practice a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. Whereas Liberals first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas Liberal residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. Whereas the 2015 Fire Prevention Week theme, Hear the Beep Where You Sleep, Every Bedroom Needs a Working Smoke Alarm, effectively serves to remind us that we need working smoke alarms to give us the time to get out safely. Therefore, I, Joe Denoyer, Mayor of Liberal, do hereby proclaim October the 4th through the 10th as Fire Prevention Week throughout the city, and I urge all the people of Liberal to install smoke alarms in every bedroom, outside each sleeping area, and on every level of the home, including the basement, and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of Liberal's fire and emergency services during Fire Prevention Week 2015. Thank you. Would you guys like to say a few words? That's going to be me.
Well, thank you all for allowing us to do this. Fire prevention, it's week, but it usually takes us about a month to get through all our schools with their schedule and ours. So October is an exciting time for us. Love going into the schools, talking to the kids. I like to think we're pretty good at it. Most of the time it's because we are on the same brain level as the second graders, so we get along really well with them. Fire prevention doesn't just happen for us in October, we do it year round. We'll go back again in April and do the kindergarten and first graders. It's something we strive to do anytime we get out in the public. We like to educate people because we figure the easiest fire to fight is the one we prevent from ever starting. So we really appreciate it. Thanks for your support, and we'll go see if we can educate some kiddos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next item on tonight's agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Any further discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, a call for the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the September 8th regular meeting minutes. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions from those minutes? If not, I call for a motion to approve those as presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from September 8th, 2015 regular meeting.
A second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Aragon with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, a call for the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda is items from citizens. Are there any citizens in the audience that would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to items from groups. Are there any groups in the audience that would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? Seeing one, I will read the rules of the commission. The rules of the commission: any group desiring to address the commission shall be recognized by the chair, advance to the podium, state his or her name and address in an audible tone for the record. Presentation shall be limited to 5 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. The commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The commission does not take action on subjects that is not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Please come forward and state your name and address in an audible tone.
My name is Susan Luquago, and I live at 1330 North Kane, Little Rock, Kansas 67901. And I think that was the only thing to say at the beginning. And I got anxious listening to the rules. And I'm here with the hat that I have on today is as the coordinator of the Healthy Communities Initiative, which is a grant that was given to our community by the Kansas Health Foundation. And I just wanted to give you all a little update and a thank you. I'll start with the thank you, which is to thank you so very much because the commissioners last year, almost a year ago, on October 14th, 2014, passed a resolution that allowed the Coalition for Families to implement having 50% of the concessions and vending that is offered at the facilities of the Parks and Rec to meet healthy standards. And the reason we did that is because, as you are aware, in our community, actually in the whole United States, but especially among children, we have increasing rates of obesity and overweight. And we are hopeful, by we, I mean those of us who care about this are hopeful that if we start healthy habits earlier and having healthy foods that the children can pick easily and that are not expensive, that they will make these choices there and that they will do so at home as well, and then maybe as they grow up. And so we implemented this process, and at the Youth Center at Bluebonnet Park, we've been doing that for actually almost a year, and it's been going really, really well, thanks to William and his staff. And I thank you for being here, William. William and his staff have helped us implement this so very well. And then when Adventure Bay opened, we did that there as well. And you have a little report in your packets, I hope. Just a little report, so I won't go over the whole thing. But that is going so very well. If any of you were there, you saw some of the items that were being offered, and we would run out of items that were offered there. And then even in the little mobile vehicles that Rona and her staff run, that we've had some healthy items there as well. So, and now, hopefully, I'm not going to say in stone, but at the National Beef ball fields, when those are completely going probably next year, that hopefully we will continue to do the same, because there's the people who are at the people who go to the ball fields and that are liking the healthy items. So again, thank you so very much. This is just an update, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Does the commission have any questions for Ms. Luquago?
Oh, just
Any questions?
Sorry.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. Are there any other groups in the audience that would like to address the commission on non-agenda
I
items?
wish I walked around as much as she did.
Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 6, which is the consent agenda. All items listed are considered to be routine by the City Commission and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a commission member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. We have one item 6A, which is approve a cereal malt beverage license for Hong One Stop at 800 North Kansas.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item up on the agenda is agenda item number 7, Resolution 2219, authorizing the offering for sale of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2015 of the City of Liberal, Kansas. Mr. Ford.
Good evening, Commissioners. You have before you tonight for your consideration Resolution number 2219, which in a nutshell, basically we have some current general obligation bonds which are set to pay off in 2020. However, in the very near future, we would have an opportunity to possibly refinance these bonds at a cheaper interest rate than we're currently paying. And tonight with that item, we have had the assistance of course, Mr. John Haas at Ransom Financial Consultants, who was not able to be here, and also our city's bond counsel, Gilmore and Bell. And tonight, to further discuss this item, I would like to introduce Mr. Larry Kleeman, who is representing Ransom Financial Consultants.
All right, thanks, Chris. Yes, I'm Larry Kleeman, working with John Haas at Ransom Financial. He and I both actually have firms that we've been working together lately, and I'm happy to come out here because I'm originally from Western Kansas, so spend the night with my folks in Lincoln a little bit. But as Chris pointed out, you have 2006 bonds that are outstanding, and after a period of time, those become callable, and that's the case here, where you can pay them off, or often makes sense to issue new bonds to refund those old bonds. Because there are lower interest rates, and now we're in a low interest rate environment, so it's a good time to lower those rates, just like you would on a home loan, and save some money. I do have a few tables. I thought they might be in your packet, but I understand they aren't. It might be a miscommunication between John and I, but I can pretty clearly explain to you what's going on. Right now you have the 2006 bonds outstanding. The interest rates range from 4% up to 4.25%. For the next 5 years or so, and that's a little over $2 million. Part of those principal amounts pay off each year in December, and so you'll have a payment in December 1, which you've already budgeted for. We'll let that fall off, but then you have 5 other maturities for the following 5 years, totaling $1,745,000, with those interest rates ranging from 4 to 4.25%. But currently interest rates are much lower than that 4% range. Right now they range from 3/4 of a point to a little under 2%. So you're paying a lot more interest than you actually need to be. And so we can issue new refunding bonds, pay off these old bonds, and we'll have the new bonds outstanding for the same amount of time with a lower interest rate, which lowers your your annual debt service payments. When we issue new refunding bonds, we issue a little bit more just to pay the cost of issuance, which includes bond counsel, financial advisory, underwriting services and such. So the plan would be to take bids on new refunding bonds at your October 20 meeting. That's what this sale resolution would authorize us to do. And at that meeting, we present the bids to you, and the one with the lowest interest rate, from the underwriter with the lowest interest rate, is the one you would approve, and with the bond ordinance and the bond resolution. And then a few weeks after that, the bond issue would close or settle, and the new money would then be wired to the state treasurer to pay off the old bonds. So you have before you a document, main document is the sell resolution, Resolution 2219, which authorizes us to take bids from various underwriters, bring back to you at your October 20 meeting to issue new refunding bonds. It also allows us to issue a redemption notice for your old bonds. They would be paid off around December 1 after the new bond issue closes. So that is what the initial sell resolution does. I'll go ahead and just briefly talk about Resolution 2220, the following resolution. That is about continuing disclosure. Whenever you issue bonds, federal regulators require you to continually disclose information about your city, make sure bondholders are up to date on the finances, see if there's any skeletons in your closet, so to speak. And you're supposed to make these disclosures each year, which you've been doing, but they're getting even tighter on their regulation of that. And so Gilmore & Bell, your bond counsel, recommends consolidating the disclosure document into one omnibus disclosure undertaking, which is what the Resolution 2220 is. So you have two resolutions tonight. The first one is to authorize us to take bids and come back with new refunding bonds at hopefully lower interest rate. And the second one is to approve that omnibus disclosure. One other thing I'd point out, the refunding bonds, we estimate with current interest rates were much lower than your 4%. We'd estimate the savings would be about $90,000 over the life of the bonds, remaining 5 years. And right now that's structured so that the savings would be at the end. The bulk of the $90,000 would be in the last year, so you would have a smaller payment by about $90,000 less in the year 2020. If you have any questions about other resolutions, let me know.
Does the Commission have any questions on agenda item number 7? First, Resolution 2219.
You stated that we'd save $90,000 at the end, but also you stated that we'd have to pay the bond issuers, whatever.
Right.
What is that going to cost?
Right. That is estimated to be about $50,000, but your savings of $90,000 are after those are paid.
Okay.
So to speak, you say you're saving really $140,000, but
Okay.
after paying cost of issuance, you're saving $90,000.
They're already taken out.
What's that?
The fees are already taken out of there.
Right. The fees are paid from the new refunding bonds, so there's no out-of-pocket costs, so to speak, from your current budget. Then down the road, you'll save $90,000.
Your Honor, I make a motion to adopt resolution number 2219.
I'll second that.
A motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion on agenda item number 7, Resolution 2219?
This isn't anything new. We've done this before several times.
Yes. And if it does come back and it's not favorable, then we would step away.
Right.
Okay.
Just leave it alone.
We're not locked in to doing this.
This is just to go out for bids.
No obligation on the obligation bonds.
Yeah. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item number 8 is the omnibus continuing disclosure undertaking. As Mr. Kleeman has explained that, we have 2 parts. Resolution 2220, as he said, providing for the adoption of an omnibus continuing disclosure undertaking relating to obligation issue and to be issued by the City of Liberal, Kansas. I believe we'll have to do this in 2 parts. Do you have any questions on Part A, on the omnibus?
Your Honor, I make a motion to adopt resolution number 2220.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
A second by Commissioner Martinez. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now 8B is the adoption of omnibus continuing disclosure undertaking.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item.
See you next month.
All right, with some really good news. All right, next item on the agenda is agenda item number 9, which is SB Services Telecommunications Audit. Mr. Ford, do you have this one?
Agenda item number 9 has to do with a proposal for a telecommunications audit from SPI Services, wherein essentially we would hope to reduce our overall telecommunications costs for both our landlines and cell phones. And, they would assist with recovering refunds for any excess charges. They would accomplish this by reviewing our monthly invoices and customer service records. They would compare tariffs, rates, and charges to our current agreements, and also compare all of these items against all of their experience with any other municipalities. The way that this proposal would work is this is comprised of a 12-month agreement whereby any savings or refunds that would be generated, 50% of those would be due to SPI Services during this 12-month period. At the end of the 12-month period, if we don't want to renew, that's fine. And also we have a provision in there where we have a 60-day ability to provide them notice if we should choose to discontinue for any reason. The important thing to note out, if there are no savings or refunds generated, then we would not owe any amounts to SPI Services. So we did check with the county. Evidently they're planning to, they have either renewed their agreement or they plan to, but they have had good experience. So at this time, staff would request commission consideration of their proposal.
I might mention one thing. Usually in these agreements that we've seen before, it's usually that savings is for 3 years. And what really interests us is it's limited to the 1 year. So there's not a contract that says, I continually get a check for 3 years of what we save you. So we were very interested into that. You can get your savings and you can stop, or you can continue on if you want. But it's not a commitment for 3 to 5 years.
I like their deal, and I think they come with really good recommendations, not only other municipalities, but other organizations, including Seward County. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve consideration of the proposal from SPI Services Telecommunications.
Motion by Vice Mayor Aragon. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Martinez. Any further discussion? Do you know approximately what the county saved in that first year?
I believe it was somewhere in the neighborhood of about $9,000.
Okay. And that was the county's side of it?
Well, they said over 10,000 right here in the letter.
Yeah, over $10,000.
Okay. And once they initially find the savings, is that not something that we could continue after that first year?
Yes,
and would not be obligated? We're not obligated, but I mean, we would have no reason to renew the contract if we so choose. Because that, okay.
Does that include cell phones too, or all communications?
Yes, my understanding is that they would be reviewing both our landline services and our cellular services. And I might add that our cellular services, we are currently under the state of Kansas contract, which is an extension of the federal government contract. But like I said, they will review that also.
So you're probably ready to get a break with them.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Chris. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 10, theater lighting for the Mid-America Air Museum. I believe we have Mr. Burtz, we have Mr. Rash, and Mr. Leet in the audience.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, my purpose here tonight is to request authority to expend donated funds to electrify the theater. It has had a chronic problem. Anybody who brought in one extra crock pot shut the whole place down. We are now, after a number of months of researching it, bringing in the system capable not only of providing sufficient electricity to host even perhaps a small trade show in there, We want to make it as flexible as possible, but also that it will support at some time also what I'll call museum quality lighting, which is different than your standard classroom or meeting lighting. But at this level, it's going to provide that electricity. It's going to provide great lighting for general activities, and we do sorely need that. It's keeping us from our ability to host good things out there. So this is donated money both from the Mid-America Foundation and also Air Museum Foundation, and also working with what was generated during the Megalodon exhibit via the city. So it's been a partnership, it's been a cooperative affair, and now we're seeing some real benefit. So this is my request to you.
Does the commission have any questions for Mr. Burke?
I understand it's the city, it's our building, right, and the airplanes and all that?
Yes, sir. Well,
not totally,
not entirely of the aircraft. We have some that are on loan from the United States government, Marines, Navy. We also have several aircraft that are on loan from civilian folks. We have some that are owned and on loan from the Mid-America Air Museum Foundation. I believe there are 4 aircraft there. So, but in the main, the museum owns the majority of the aircraft, courtesy of Colonel Thomas, and years of donated aircraft as well.
Okay. Well, that's the reason I asked, because I worked the booth at the fair, and I don't know how many people questioned about the Air Museum and what was there, and I told them they need to come back and look at it. It's a lot of things have changed, and people are going to plan on from all over Kansas to make a day trip to come out here, so I think it's a good tourism for us. So,
thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Any further questions? I'd entertain a motion to allow the Air Museum to expend the donated funds in the amount of $13,457.47.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the use of donated funds in the amount of $13,457.47 to B&B to install a 200 amp panel.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor Aragon. Dave, is it you? Second by Commissioner Harrison. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Mr. Jim.
Steve.
Don.
Thank you.
John.
Next item up on the agenda item number 11. Replacement of a truck for the water department. Mr. Burke.
Good evening. Appreciate it. I'm glad to announce that once I'm talking to you, I don't have any bad news. The water's staying in the pipes. We have one truck that basically we have gotten all the goodie out of it. And according to John Meacham at Fleet Maintenance, that's really not the remains out of it. And he's figured $1,500 the minimum cost. And that's if he pulls the pan and doesn't find anything else severely wrong. And I got a price from wholesale guy. He wholesaled the price of the truck, conditioned it in at $500. Well, it's pretty well beat up, and we just got, I don't lie to you, $1,400 from the insurance company for the hail damage. Is that correct, Chris? Yes. And so we went out and solicited quotes, and the best price that we came across to meet our specs on a half-ton truck was from Chrysler Corners at $19,900. You know, we had budgeted $30 for a truck replacement, so it was in our budget. And so I'd like to request to go ahead to $19,900 and go ahead and buy the Chrysler. And my first thought with the old truck was we could hang it onto it and keep it in case one of mine was in the shop, but the parts department doesn't have a truck with a Tommy lift, and they have expressed interest in at least keeping it for when they need a Tommy lift to haul a Dorothy around. And it would be a fair truck if you just need to use it once in a while.
That was meant for you, Dave.
I want to get rid of that truck.
And the Tommy lift.
There is no duct tape on the tires.
Baling wire.
There is some baling wire on it.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the low bid of Chrysler Corner for $19,900 for 2016 half-ton pickup for the water department.
I got a question before we prove it. There is, what do you guys?
Mr. Martinez, we have a motion. We need a second
okay.
before we can enter into discussion.
Oh, okay.
We have a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Now go ahead.
Okay, Cal, what are you guys going to be using it for? Is it going to be around the town or going haul heavy stuff? So.
Well, actually, I'm doing some juggling. I'm going to move the four-wheel drive that I'm currently using over to Supply, because where they make the well rounds out to our Kalen, the ethanol wells, I kept the four-wheel drive simply because when I have somebody on call at night, if they get stuck, it's easier for them. It's cheaper for the city if they call Cal, and Cal goes and pulls them out instead of calling a tow truck or another guy and I have to pay a 2-hour call out. But I can utilize this truck and move my heavier duty four-wheel drive over and hope nobody gets stuck at night, which we have eliminated a lot because we haven't been having as many main breaks. We've kind of eliminated a lot of our repairs. We still have them, but it's not as numerous.
Okay. Well, I just purchased a truck and then there were some incentives for a 3/4 ton more than half ton, but I didn't really need a 3/4 ton. So
now you're putting me in a corner.
But I'm just saying,
to be honest with you,
if there's something else we can save and get a bigger truck, fine.
I expected a 3/4 ton truck originally because being a farm boy, I mean, I'm for the 3/4 ton truck because of the cargo weight and the difference in the truck. I mean, the 3/4 has 1,800 pounds more on the front axle and 2,700 on the rear axle, and heavier duty brakes, which is easier to pull my excavator and my Bobcat.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that city protocol was half-ton trucks.
Oh,
so that's why I'm in here so late. Now, I would like to see the water department have some 3/4 ton trucks, but until we change city protocol, we'll make do with what we got.
Okay.
Why can't we buy, I mean, we need the equipment for what we're going to use it for. Is this going to stop us from buying a 3/4 ton or?
What the purpose of the truck is in-town use and on the road use. And there's not, we do have 2 3/4 tons, 2 3/4 ton pickups for any hauling that we do. It is one of those, any travel to outside, there's usually not any haul involved. It's more or less the 4-wheel drive is just for getting stuck. So we do have available to us 2 3/4 tons to haul any equipment, but the most of the other trucks are simply to carry tools and that to and from location. We're in town should something happen where we don't have to travel outside the town to pick somebody up.
The only exception to that one is our Kalen and the ethanol wells, which that's why I try to keep that side with the 2 best trucks.
All right. I'm just glad it's local. Use our local people. Yes.
And I believe his bid even came down from what was on the agenda before. So.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yes, sir, it was, and I tried to make sure that all the local vendors had a chance to bid because of pricing.
All right, any more discussion or any more questions? All right, all those in favor? Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Cal.
Thanks, Cal.
I appreciate it.
Next agenda item is a property update from the building department. Mr. Kraus.
Before we start on that, if I could, I'm reading how this is written. This says we had a special meeting. We didn't have a special meeting. There was no special meeting. There was a discussion between the city manager and the city manager.
I guess we'll make sure that reading's understood. The special meeting was between Mr. Abbott, Mr. Harrison, and myself.
Correct.
It wasn't a special meeting of the city commission.
I just want to point that out.
Yeah, good catch. I think was referring to that we had a special meeting with but it wasn't a city commission special.
Right. This is an update on a property we all know over on Webster and Locke Street. Mr. Abbott's property, which over a year ago, a resolution was passed that he clean up his property and put a fence around it. And he started out all right, but that ended. And so with that meeting, we gave Mr. Abbott an ultimatum that we're going to give him 120 days to clean up that property and to put that fence up. And it will be continuous work. For all this, he cannot halt on it. And we will have a meeting with Mr. Abbott once a month so that we know what his progress is. My guys are going to go by there and make sure that progress has started. At the end of that 120 days, it's not completed, we will start a fine process, or we will do a condemnation in which we'll have to hire somebody at his cost to put that fence up. I know it's been in the news quite a bit about all his equipment out there and the mess it is, so we want to have that fence up, basically for the safety of the children that go through there. And it was passed as a resolution, and he never came through with that resolution, so we gave him an ultimatum.
Was the agreement to do a privacy fence or just a regular fence?
It's a privacy fence.
Because I was
It's a 6-foot privacy fence that basically people can't see through.
okay, because I was driving by and it looked like he was fixing to put up a wire fence and gates.
That's not what he represented.
Well, they're laying out there
If
the
that's
poles and
what he
everything.
does-
So
If he does do something like that, then we'll proceed with
That's not
condemnation, and then we'll put.
it might have been just the gate too.
And it is in our zoning ordinance for light industrial that it be a privacy fence so that people actually cannot see the equipment in there.
The way the discussion went, and Mark can correct me if I'm wrong, but supposedly Mr. Abbott has purchased this fence 3 times.
3 times.
And it's been stolen 3 times. But he assures us that he's going to start working on it last week, so that the clock starts running last Tuesday when we had the meeting. Ticking for 30 days, and at the end of 30 days, if we can't tell that he has demonstrated that he has started on the project and making some progress, the game's over.
Yes.
It's not going to run till 120 days. As long as he's showing progress every 30 days, up to 100, he's to be done in 120 days.
120 days is completion.
Not asking for an extension, not anything else. It's to be completed.
Yeah, that's what, if he doesn't continue on it, then we will start the fining process.
How about the rest of the neighbors around there?
There is, and that's a good a point. He pointed out that one of those properties there was Lonnie Lux. I don't know if we've contacted him or if that's a true story or what, but that's.
And I know at one time Mr. Abbott did own all that, and I haven't checked to see if Mr. Luck owns part of that property now or not. But at one time, Cliff did own all of that.
I think we need to check into that, because that was the picture he threw out and said it didn't belong to him.
I guess my question is, are we going off an old resolution that we passed, or where is the teeth in this?
The old resolution.
The old resolution is still, okay. I was going to say, because it was like the 3 of you, and
yeah.
So.
Well, are you going to make M&M Tire build a fence, privacy fence too, around their stuff, or?
Whose?
M&M Tire?
We have to, we will, because that's all light industrial through there.
I'm just thinking if we need to apply it to one, we need to apply it to all.
We can discuss that. I think
The resolution is basically for Cliff Abbott right now. We can discuss with Lonnie and M&M Tires that they continue with this project and go ahead and put a privacy fence up. But the resolution right now is just with Mr. Abbott.
Okay.
And this just incorporates that one property, not his north property, not his west property, I mean.
North. He owns a lot back through there. south M&M Tires, all that property to the west, and some of that north property. I assume he owned it all, but
I'm talking about up there at Kansas and Tucker.
We've been addressing with them on the mowing and the other junk.
yeah, Kansas and Tucker's in the county.
Right.
And, yeah, we're addressing that also.
And then there's Western Avenue properties as well.
Yes.
I would hate to see that stuff move from one location to another, as we have seen other
It won't be
people
done.
do.
I mean, we discussed with Cliff,
You need someplace to store the stuff, you ought to buy some land out in the country and.
There's rules out there. Too.
Yeah, they have a code enforcement guy out in the county as well now. Okay. Please stay on top of it, I know you will, and, because I know we will, so. And hopefully we can get that whole area cleaned up like Commissioner Carlisle said. There is other landowners there, and I don't know what's happening with Mr. Mahan's old property across the road, but we just need to stay on top of it.
several calls on that already.
So have I. So, but and on the M&M Tire property as well, as you and I have talked on that also.
Well, while we're discussing things, could you bring us up to date? I question about the, I call it a cement dump, which I still think is what it is, down on the parking lot behind the Chuck Wagon restaurant.
That's actually, he's actually redoing the parking lot at Madden, or the Shell, and a lot of that concrete's from there, but not all of it. Couldn't find out a lot of it came from the school district. He's going to use that concrete. He's got a concrete chipper that he's going to bring in. It won't be in the city, but he's going to use that old concrete for a base for later use on parking lots.
Well, I guess my question is if he can't grind it there, why did he put it there?
It came to light last meeting.
It's an arrangement that he made with the property owner to place it there for future use in the parking lot.
Guys, my only problem with that is this community is littered with cement dumps. And that to me is just exactly what that is again, unless we make sure that happens.
Well, I went by and saw Mr. Sizemore yesterday, talked to him about that concrete pile. He said it would be removed within 60 and 90 days, one way or the other. So I can live with that.
Okay, now let's move on to another place. We all call it the Stu Emmer lot on Pancake.
Pershing in 54.
Okay.
Bill Carlisle.
And someone has decided to put up a snow fence, and I understand there's going to be some construction there, but also in the meantime, there's being stuff dumped there.
Well, that stuff that's dumped there was actually from that site. All the pavement and so forth, that was removed so that they could stick a building, another building there for leave assignments.
Now, where was it removed from?
That,
From
you know where that office building is?
Yeah.
Well, they're actually going to put another building there, and they had to remove that pavement in order to put a new footer and foundation for that building.
I didn't see any pavement removed, but maybe I missed it.
Yeah, actually what they did was lift up that trailer house, the old mobile unit, and dig all that out and put a new footer up underneath that building. It's all construction material that will be, before they get a certificate of occupancy, it will be moved.
Okay, that's my question. Thank you.
And I might add that I know they had talked about mowing and weeds and so forth. I figured up that from the same time last year to this year, we have mowed 74% more property and lots due to the rains.
Well, and I understand all of that. That probably doesn't you guys have worked hard at that, and I really appreciate that. The thing that really bothers me is the repeat offenders, and that's what we're trying to address here now, I think. So, thank you, Corey.
Any more questions for Mr. Kraus on the update?
Thank you,
Will
Corey.
you please continue to come back, give us an status update? I know we'll drive by and look at it. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Corey, tell your guys thanks.
Yeah.
When I make a call to address something or mark, it happens. So they're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And they'll appreciate that.
All right.
All right, next item up on the agenda is agenda item number 13, which is Citizens Award Program donation acceptance for the police department. We have Lieutenant Ratzlaff.
Good evening, City Manager, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you for letting me come over this evening. I'm here to talk about a program that we're trying to get going with awarding our citizens political. It is our belief that the citizens, we can't do our job without them. And they help us out quite a bit, whether they're regular citizens, different groups that have helped us. And so we have started a policy program trying to get those awards going. And with that, we have received a donation for $705 for the purchase of keychains. In the packet, I don't know if you got a picture of those keychains that we're looking at doing or not. If not, I'll have my pocket that you can look at. We're trying, that's the first step in this. We're also looking at thank you cards that will include a patch that has actually been worn by a Liberal police officer, and also all the way up to a award of valor, which we're still determining what that award could possibly be. We're also looking at working with other organizations in town, different businesses, to get other things donated, such as a free hamburger, ice cream cone, something like that, just to say, hey, thank you for doing what you're doing, whether it be students pulling up to the high school wearing their seatbelt, whether just different things along those lines. So tonight I'm coming to ask permission to use the donated money of $705 for the purchase of keychains. The money was donated by Cliff Abbott.
Which has nothing to do with the previous.
Let's look at it.
Your Honor, the luck of the draw here.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the donation of $705 to purchase keychains from the donation from Cliff Abbott to Liberal Police Department.
I'll second the motion.
A motion by Vice Mayor Aragon with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Next item up on the agenda is Retail Strategies Renewal, agenda item number 14. Mr. Parsons.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, some of you, I guess, were around in September of last year when we approved a contract with a company called Retail Strategies out of Birmingham, Alabama. And Retail Strategies is a company that helps us with our retail recruiting efforts. We basically set up with them a one-year contract. With the idea that we would renew that if things went well for an additional year, and actually they asked for a commitment of 3 years, but we do this 1 year at a time. Anyway, we paid them last year for their initial year for their services $50,000. The subsequent two renewals for year 2 and year 3 are $28,000. So they spend most of their money as far as gathering data and that kind of thing, producing their collateral material and things up front, and then their costs go down significantly year 2 and year 3. We've developed I would think a very good relationship with Retail Strategies. We have 2 contact people that I am in communication with on a regular basis. In addition to talking with me, We have also put Retail Strategies in communication with various investment groups or developers who have an interest in doing business in Liberal, and they work directly with Retail Strategies. So far, everybody seems more than pleased with the efforts they're getting from Retail Strategies. Just a quick example, we got word last week from a retailer making calls around town looking for square footage to open a location in Liberal. It's a national retailer. So I got the name, phone number, forwarded it to Retail Strategies. They were able to get in touch with that company, and within 48 hours basically had a commitment locked up. And so they are doing a great job for us as far as I'm concerned. It's not anything that you turn a tap on and it begins to happen immediately. Retail recruitment is a marathon. But anyway, I wanted to bring this to you. It's renewal time, and so ask for your approval for another year of their services, and approve the amount of $28,000 for that additional year.
Any questions for Mr. Parsons?
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the invoice for $28,000 to Retail Strategies for another year of service.
I'll second.
Go ahead, Tony.
A motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Martinez. Any discussion on the motion?
I need to ask. You and I had a meeting with the Denny. Remember that? His map looks similar to this map right here. I mean, it didn't cost him.
Yeah, but he pays for that. He pays for that service just like these guys do. And their services go way beyond just making a map. They have that Rolodex, those list of contacts and numbers with hundreds and hundreds of different retailers. That information to make a map. That's not the only thing. It's just an example of what they're able to do. They're able to get that for individual retail category. They can break it down as far as incomes and demographics, and they can tell how much dog food is sold at Dillon's if we need to know that kind of thing. So it goes just beyond basically what you see there. It goes much deeper than that, Jack.
One of the greatest things that they can do, and I've been with Jeff and been privy to it, but they can get you in the door of someplace you want to be. They know who to talk to and how to make that happen. And we've benefited quite a bit from that already. So.
Yeah, I think they got a lot of potential in attracting big box stuff that we can't do it alone. So.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't have access to the people that they do. With the experience, they have the numbers and things to show. But the main thing they have is they have the name of the person to call.
They're working in a multitude of cities and working with the same folks a lot of times. And if they think there's something that's a fit for us, they can pick up the phone and say, hey, this is so-and-so with Retail Strategies. I've got another place I'd like for you to take a look at, and they've brought them out here.
They are, Jeff, would it be fair to say that they have been working together with an investment group that was
local investment
put together, and they have been impressed with some of the opportunities that are becoming available to them. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely fair. And not just
in a roundabout way.
Not just that, that's right. But others as well.
Call for the question.
All right. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, next item on the agenda will be the city manager's report. Mr. Hall.
Mayor, Commissioners, first I'd like to, the Water Department has made you aware in your packet that we are going to do the InfoMap mapping project. We will have where our employees are identifiable, but we're going to put that announcement out in the paper, so if they see somebody walking around in their neighborhood, we'll try to make them aware that what their purpose is, and like say, identifying themselves. So just want to make the commission, in case you get a call.
Well, I think you've already issued that to media, haven't you, Calvin?
Yeah.
That went out last week.
Just want to make sure the commission is aware of that, and should they give any calls. Other than that, staff's been working hard. We've been working on some new projects. I know the staff is working on a website project. All departments are involved in that, and we hope to get some things worked out as we go along. There is one thing I would like to ask the commission, and this is just for clarification. In our meetings with the school system on the educational facility project, just wanted to ask for the commission's approval of, and I'll just say the city manager has the responsibility to clarify the city infrastructure required by the city engineer to facilitate the construction of the educational facilities as per the interlocal agreement and was stated by the city. The city will neither incur any debt nor expend any city funds in the construction of any city infrastructure to facilitate the construction of the educational facilities. By doing so, would be an undue and additional burden placed upon the property taxpayer for the construction of the educational facilities. But I'd like to simply clarify that should there be any negotiations, that will always be done by the city commission. Should there be any legal remedies that would be sought, that will always be done by the city commission. The board is always welcome to talk to the city commission directly. This is just in the phase of, should we need to report something back, we will. And I think that's the same as the school administration. It's just simply that, ours is we are not changing things, we are not doing anything. We are simply sitting there giving to them with the city engineers. Should they have any of that in need of a city commission's presence, then there can be.
Just for Commissioner Carlisle and Commissioner Martinez, because they weren't part of the interlocal agreement in the beginning. This was kind of a sticking point at the time, and we stuck to our guns because it was an unknown where the schools were going to be located and what kind of problems that was going to create for infrastructure and everything else. And so we really worked to get the wording where we all understood that you guys can build your schools wherever you want to, but we're not in the business of building streets and sidewalks to your school. That's not the city's job. And they agreed to that in an interlocal agreement. Yes. And now, since they figured out where they want to locate their schools and figured out how much it's going to cost to create the infrastructure they don't want to pay for. Basically, is that
yes, that's basically it. There is, and I was going to say there is a presentation to the school board that will be forthcoming by the administration. It is one of those that I know we all want to work together, and this is a great thing for this city. I will get, and I apologize, I wasn't even thinking about it. I will get a copy to all the commissioners, just as a refresher, but to the new commissioners of the interlocal agreement.
Well, and the further point there is that this isn't anything that we as a commission are saying that needs to be done. This isn't anything that Mr. Hall is saying that needs to be done. This is what the city engineer says needs to be done based on the traffic that's going to be required on those streets and the type of streets that they are and everything else. I mean,
they pick the locations with the building.
It's scientific. It's not something that somebody just made up and said, well, we're going to get a new street out of this deal. I'd be glad, it would tickle me to death if they didn't have to do any of it, but they have to.
I think they had a real good hint where they were going to put the school, so.
Well, before I was a commissioner, I went to a lot of them meetings, and they had a plan. And I'd like to thank Mark for watching out for us and the citizens, that we don't incur any more debt, because, like I said, they had a plan. So it's not our business to build, as far as I'm concerned, to put any more debt on the citizens of Liberal. We already paying our, voted for the half-cent sales tax. Our property taxes have went up, so we were there to help them, but they had a plan, so.
And the projected sales tax collections are going to be higher than what we had initially estimated. And also, in fairness to those residents that live in those areas, if the buses, if the extra traffic causes those roads to deteriorate in front of their houses, it's not fair to those residents to have to pay for that to be redone.
They were there before the school.
I believe, I think Mark and Sherla and Chris, that interlocal agreement definitely protected ourselves and protected our citizens. And they signed it, and
Joe, you said in the meetings prior to that being signed, and we discussed it over and over again, and they assured us every time that they had that all under control, that they were professionals, they knew what they were doing. And I'm talking about a company called DLR, who was running the show. They knew what they were doing. They've done this several places. Everything's going to be fine. And now they're coming back with this. So.
Anyway, if it would be all right with the commission, if I guess could I ask for a show of hands of just approval to the statement that my responsibility is only to clarify the city infrastructure required by the city engineer.
Well, you know, my thoughts, and we can do that, but when we voted in favor of that interlocal agreement, just as if we were voting in favor of a resolution to start condemnation proceedings, the commission has given you that authority, that approval to do that, just like we've given Corey, just like we've given anybody that has a resolution. You're acting as our arm. You do this day to day, every day. We come in, you know, and approve things twice a month. So I'm in agreement. I think you're not overstepping your bounds. You're doing what the commission has told you to do. And like you stated, if for some reason there is some negotiating, that will be brought to the commission. So I would, I'll just make that motion that we give the city manager the authority to continue to act on behalf of the city in clarifying what the city engineer has already stated.
He doesn't want a motion, he just wants consensus, right?
Yeah, this is what an agenda.
That's fine.
That would be,
that's for a consensus.
great.
I'll ask for a consensus, and all those in favor?
Thank you, sirs. I appreciate it. Other than that, I do wish to thank all the departments for everything they've done. I know the commission's going to identify the events of last weekend by the chamber, but it's the things are we're turning the corner and I'm starting to move back. We'll be working on 15th Street and getting things, and we are planning a Fun City project, hopefully in October, and it will be our way of getting throughout the city ready for the winter. And so that's something that all the departments will be a part of, and be it in court or police department, we want to go into the winter looking our best. So we'll be out there for probably a solid week. Anything from edging, trimming, and that stuff, we're just going to wait to, according to Joe Seeley, the first frost means things are not going to grow.
Yeah, we'll see.
So that is going to be a big push, and I want to commend all the departments and their agreement to that, and it's something that we're looking forward to, that we're just going to do our last catch up and put our best foot forward for the next 6 months and get ready for another season. But Other than that, if there's any other questions.
Any questions for the city manager?
Mark, do you have any update on that no parking or between Mission and Larrabee? It's going to get wintertime.
I apologize, I haven't heard from the safety
department.
committee,
Okay.
but I will double check on that.
All right.
Who's in charge of the school lights?
As far as on the street or?
Like the 20-mile-an-hour signs?
Yes.
We do. Is there one out or?
No, the one on Western was going on southbound at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, but the northbound side wasn't going on, and I don't think any school kids crossing at 6 in the morning.
Probably not. Are you talking about the stoplight?
The stoplight or
No,
flashing
the
lights?
flashing, the 20-mile flashing light.
School zone.
School zone light.
And yesterday morning, the 20-mile-an-hour wasn't going at all when you were traveling southbound to West Middle School, to the high school. Is that what you just said?
No, this morning it was on at 6 o'clock this
All
morning.
right, but yesterday morning it wasn't on.
It's got out of sync,
At West Middle School, flashing lights.
Right.
So apparently it's got out of sync.
Well, I don't know about any of that, but I know the other day I was doing 35 and the highway patrolman kind of frowned on me doing that.
Did you have your seatbelt on?
I did.
How come we still have those school lights at school zone on 15th Street? There's no school there.
Kids cross the street, I can tell you the answer to that.
The kids.
We don't ever see
and we
it.
do
Covers
have
Cottonwood
this.
too, yeah.
The kids that are north, there still will be some of the kids crossing, and we do have now to go to the Cottonwood? Yeah, Cottonwood Middle School. It is one of those, the question that came up, and to answer that, is at the current rate of speed and the distance between that, it only adds 7 seconds. So if you took those away.
Do we need that light on all day or?
Well, it should be only coming on during school hours. Is it?
Well, I mean, like had a couple complaints 11:30 in the morning. Kids were in school at 11:30 in the morning.
Well, the kindergarten classes, I think that's what it's.
I think he sets, unless there's something wrong, he sets it according to the school schedule in those times.
I tell you what you
And that
can
would be
do,
for
if
the
you want to,
kindergarten kids.
refer it back to the safety committee and let them look at it, which comprises the police department. I don't know who all's in on that, but they can take a look at it again.
Might be just need Justin or something.
I've never seen any kids crossing, but
I haven't
there's a
either.
reason for it, so.
And I don't think some kindergartner's going to be crossing by himself.
No.
I think Cal had something to say.
Yeah, the light on Western, we were aware of it, somebody had seen it.
Okay.
And we did report it to Robert George earlier today.
Okay.
I don't know that it's been fixed, but he should be aware of it.
Okay, just follow up. Any other questions for the city manager? All right, we'll move on to Jim.
I got one suggestion for him.
Just one?
I took this to you because Mr. Seeley wasn't here to start with, but it's the drains along the north side of Blue Bonnet Park. I don't know what that street that is.
The 8th Street. Yes.
And I've asked for those to be taken care of, and then I took Mr. Seeley up there a couple of weeks ago, and he was sure going to get them done. And the last time I looked, I didn't look today, but the last time I looked, they haven't been corrected.
Okay.
So if you would
Yeah,
mind,
I'll check on it.
Mr. Seeley, about that, I would appreciate it very much.
Any other questions? All right, agenda item number 16, items from commissioners. Vice Mayor Aragon.
I just want to say that we've had a couple of different deals going on here at the Blue Bonnet Park last couple of weeks, the National Night Out, which is really, really great. We got that thing in our packet today with the information, and this past weekend we had the Chamber of Commerce duck race, and a really good turnout, really good. And for the National Night Out, the Liberal Police Department was there and had an awesome representation, and at the duck race, all of the Liberal Fire Department was there and walking around, and I noticed a lot of them out talking to kids and stuff. I think that's really good that they do that on both departments, but it's really good. Won't have too much else. I'm excited for this new store to get open here, 30th. That's all I got.
All right,
When's the ribbon cutting on that?
September 30th at 7:30 in the morning. September 30th. Commission should be receiving invitations down at City Hall soon for a preview night the night before on the 29th.
So are we going to have a special meeting on the 29th? Is that scheduled for the 29th?
Yes, the 29th is the presentation by Mr. Haas.
A work session.
Work session. Yes, sir.
5:30.
5:30.
And I'm not for sure, I haven't heard what the time is of the preview night for.
Okay.
So that would be, Sean Manning is the manager. So
We still have a city commission meeting the 12th, is it?
Yes. Yeah. you
After
get
we come back from,
Topeka, come straight in, yeah.
okay.
So,
We should be traveling home on Monday.
yeah, we should be home on Monday.
It used to not be that way.
Yeah, so
Wasn't the last function like at 4 o'clock on Monday?
yeah, but we don't meet on Tuesdays.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about up in Topeka.
I
I thought the
remember.
last.
That's more of your.
No, it's probably, I want to say around 3 o'clock, probably wrapping up by 4. Yeah, you're right. So, let's see.
That'd be on Monday or Tuesday.
It's on Monday.
Yeah, let's see, yeah, the 12th is Monday, so we'll wrap up on Monday.
Oh, yeah, I can.
So,
Just don't want that Howard Drummond to see me either.
all right, any further questions? I guess we're deferring now to Commissioner Harrison.
Just want to thank the city staff for all they do. Everybody that works for the city is trying their best, I know, and I appreciate everything they do. That's it.
Commissioner Carlisle.
I do think the weeds in the yards are starting to look a lot better than what they have been. I think because of growth season's starting to slow down a little bit, but doing a lot better. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Martinez.
Probably try to be at everything I can, but sometimes I miss some of the functions at like the night out and due to other things I do. But appreciate staff. I was at the state fair. I gave out, that was another thing, it was a fun time and I'd like to do it again. Gave out a lot of spatulas. Didn't even get one for myself.
We've got 10 days available next year with your name on it.
Oh, the benefits of being retired.
And Al can only say that because he was up at the fair.
Yeah, I heard he was there. But it was a good time representing Liberal and speaking to folks, and it was nice. So, and thanks staff for everything they do, especially lately it's been on code enforcement with weeds. A lot of calls, and we'll follow up on them. So thank you everybody for doing a good job.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. I just want to reiterate some of what was said. National Night Out was a huge success. Chamber of Commerce, the Duck Festival was just wonderful. The college auction that night, goodness, Baker Arts Center had something that afternoon. BFW had something. There was a ton of stuff going on last weekend. This weekend looks like the new director of the Seward County United Way will be having a golf tournament to kick off the 2016 campaign. Also, I think the rec department's having a fishing derby out at Arcalen Park. There is always something going on in the community, so I encourage people to get out and to get active and just enjoy what we have and what committees and groups and organizations have put together. We'd mentioned the Walmart grand opening on the 29th with the ribbon cutting on the 30th, and two words that I've heard for the last almost 11 years now: Christopher Banks. Christopher Banks is in town, October the 10th. I know the radio station is going to be doing a live broadcast from the Christopher Banks store. So,
can we say finally?
Finally. So, but yeah, man, we're growing. We're growing. Go ahead, Commissioner, Vice Mayor Aragon. Go ahead and share that information as well.
I'm pretty excited. We got this in our packet. Invitation for the open house event, September 24th. It's a Central Care Cancer Center at the hospital here, so I'm pretty excited about that. That's pretty nice. Another new doctor, new physician here, Dr. Anise. I'll mess up that name. Toomey. But it's pretty nice to have a central care cancer center here in Liberal.
But, and I believe that same date, there's a reception for Dr. Traska, the new president out at Seward County Community College also. That's 24th, yes. Staff, you do a great job. I know things are starting to slow down with the weeds, but starting to spruce things up, get them ready for winter. And I believe we should have a wet winter. So I know the street department is.
Can I ask? I need to ask something, Mark. Sorry, Joe.
What?
There's a lot of weeds in the cracks between the sidewalks and the curbs, and between the curb and the streets.
Yes, we do have a spraying, and it is one of those, we'll address that, and then what we're looking at is next year to do a big pre-emergent, and then also get ahead of the spraying early. We've just had things that have floated in to cracks that, and weeds.
I mean, there's some areas that look like you need to mow the street.
I do mow my street at 7th and Calhoun because I think that area is almost past the 12-inch limit right there in the street.
A couple of them, if we are in that route, to get them with the sweeper. Sometimes that cures problems, but sometimes it doesn't. But we've been kind of aware of there's things that are growing where we never thought would grow, so we're addressing that.
Right. I believe, like I said, it's our community. It's what we make of it, so get out and enjoy it. Yes. Okay, so it'll be 3 weeks. It'll be 3 weeks until our next City Commission meeting.
3 weeks.
Looking forward to League of Kansas Municipalities annual meeting in October with, I think, at least 3 other guys coming, maybe. So, it's in Topeka. Other than that, that's all I have. Agenda item number 17 is the vouchers.
Your Honor, make a motion that we approve the vouchers in the amount of $678,377.62.
Motion, have a second?
Second that.
Second by Commissioner Martinez. Any questions on the vouchers? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioner.